The IRS just announced major last-minute tax changes.
This tax season, qualifying families can receive a credit of up to $2,000 for each child under the age of 17.
The maximum refundable amount per child would raise to $1,800 in 2023, $1,900 in 2024, and $2,000 per child in 2025.
And there's also a phase out for individuals earning more than $200,000 or families earning more than $400,000.
All started yesterday. Let's see what they were talking about.
The bipartisan agreement would expand the child tax credit and add tax breaks for businesses through 2025.
CNBC senior markets correspondent Dominic Chu joins us now. Dom, this announcement, it closes out months of negotiations specifically over tax relief. Take us through the details of this deal and when we could actually see it go into effect.
So Morgan, Vicky, to that point, this deal would lift the child tax credit's $1,600 refundable cap and adjust it for inflation.
Now, a lot of people miss out on this money every single year that they've been doing their taxes. You got to watch this to make sure you don't make that mistake.
This tax season, qualifying families can receive a credit of up to $2,000 for each child under the age of 17.
Are all children under the age of 17 eligible? What do we need to know?
You know, this is such an important credit for families. There's a lot of confusion because both the rules and that credit have changed in the last year. So very briefly, it's the $2,000 credit you just mentioned. To be eligible, you need to be, or the dependent needs to be 16 or under. This is down from 17 a year ago. You also have to claim the dependent on your tax return, and you need to meet the income eligibility rules. Those are $200,000 for individuals and $400,000 for families. But as you can see from the infographic, the eligibility rules are fairly broad.
Now, tell us about what disqualifies parents or guardians from claiming the maximum child tax credit.
Yeah, with all tax rules, there's still some things to look out for, right? Here, the IRS says the dependent must have lived with you for more than half the year, that they're not financially independent. And then and there's also a phase out for individuals earning more than $200,000 or families earning more than $400,000. The credit is reduced by $50 for every $1,000 in adjusted gross income over that threshold. Now, there are ways to reduce your AGI. So this is where qualified tax preparer can be really helpful.
And that's the adjusted gross income, the AGI that you mentioned.
Yes, sorry.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure that it's clear for everyone. Most of us hate doing our taxes, and sometimes the acronyms get a little bit confusing for folks. So just want to make sure that we're clear on that. Some Americans are actually potentially getting a smaller tax refund this year because they benefit from the child tax credit. Explain that.
In response to the pandemic, Congress passed the American Rescue Plan, and we talked about that age change from 17 to 16 for the eligibility. That plan also temporarily increased the credit up to $3,600 per dependent, depending on age. So for those with dependents, you might recall seeing monthly deposits in your bank account of $250 or $300 a month per dependent. This increase is now fully expired. So we reverted back to the original $2,000 per dependent. So unfortunately, for most families, you will see a reduction in the credit.
Now, they also made some changes based on the qualifications. So this year, you may not be able to get it. Now, I want to make sure that you guys get this information 100% correct. So I'm going to show you guys exactly the full breakdown. Here's the full breakdown. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking, like, Calvin, that's the news. I want to make sure that this stuff is done right because these are my taxes. Don't worry, I got you.
In 2021, the child tax credit was expanded and split into two parts. Parents received 6 monthly payments of at least $250 per child, and then a lump sum payment as part of their 2021 tax returns. It also reduced the income qualifications, and it provided automatic payments to all parents, regardless of whether they would have previously qualified for the tax credit. Increase how much tax credit parents receive if they didn't owe taxes or were getting a refund. So let's dig into the actual numbers. Under this provision, the maximum refundable amount per child would raise to $1,800 in 2023, $1,900 in 2024, and $2,000 per child in 2025. And it would link future increases to inflation. It would also increase benefits for families with multiple children.
Now let's break down directly from the IRS website who's going to qualify. As you can see from the IRS website, where we're on the child tax credit section, you can see here The child tax credit helps families with qualifying children get a tax break. You may be able to claim the credit even if you don't normally file a tax return. That's huge, especially for them to say that. The IRS website says you can claim the child tax credit for each qualifying child who has had a social security number that is valid for employment in the United States. To be a qualifying child for 2023 tax year, your dependent generally must: number one, be under age 17 at the end of the year. Be your son, daughter, stepchild, eligible foster child, brother, sister, stepbrother, stepsister, half brother, half sister, or descendant of one of these. For example, a grandchild, niece, or nephew. At this point, they're trying to make sure everybody's covered. Provide no more than half of their own financial support during the year, have lived with you for more than half the year, be properly claimed as your dependent on your tax return, not file a joint return with their spouse for the tax year, or file it only to claim a refund of withheld income tax or estimated tax paid. And last, have been a U.S. citizen, U.S. national, or U.S. resident alien. Now, here's how you qualify for the full amount. You qualify for the full amount of the 2023 child tax credit for each qualifying child if you meet all eligibility factors and your annual income is not more than $200,000 or $400,000 if filing a joint return. Parents and guardians with higher incomes may be eligible to claim a partial credit. Now, if you still have questions about this, obviously you could reach out to a CPA or your tax person. But if you don't have a relationship with them like that, or you've changed people, don't worry. The IRS has an interactive tax assistant. Let's check it out. Now, guys, this is on the same IRS page that I was on. I'll put this link in the description below. But as you can see here, it says use our interactive tax assistant to check if you qualify. Let's take a look. Now you guys can see it says, does my child / dependent qualify for the child tax credit or the credit for other dependents? Okay. Now it also says what you need. You'll need your filing status, whether you can claim the person as a dependent, and the person's date of birth. Next, all you have to do is click begin. There's also some last minute tax changes for businesses as well. Check this out.
So it turns out there are some tax cuts that businesses want. They're actually tax deductions, so speeding up tax credits that it used to take 5 years, go back to the way it was, make those credits takeable in just 1 year. That's kind of on the Republican side, although there's some bipartisan agreement there. And then Democrats say, well, in addition to that, let's expand this child tax credit, which is a good tax credit.
This is going to be huge, especially if you're looking to get just a little bit extra on your tax refund. You can use it towards a credit card payment, a car note payment, towards your mortgage payment. It can go towards whatever you're looking to have. Like I said, I wanted to make sure I gave you guys the full breakdown. So number one, you don't get the wrong information. Number two, you don't mess this up. And number three, you have a resource to find this information just to make sure you qualify. Now, if you like this video, you're most definitely going to like the next one. I'll see you there.